Please welcome Khalid Alvi.
Can you hear me? Can we all? Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'd like to thank PAS, Kamar, Afshin, for organizing this. Third year in my prayers that it will continue on and better every passing year. अच्छा मैं आज ना कोई ऐसी चीज़ नहीं मैं बताऊंगा जो you guys don't know. And I'm just going to share with you some thinking in terms of what the future is going to look like. But I think it's important that before we go into the future, we must understand the past. So I'll go a bit of past, which I think we all know. We'll just reiterate what you guys already know. And then kind of look at what the future is going to look like. Future में एक अच्छी चीज़ है आप जो कहना चाहे कह सकते हैं. Because we don't know. But I've done a lot of research on what future is going to look like. I've looked at multiple economists who are projecting what 2060, 2070 is going to look like. I'm going to put together a combination of a lot of economists' views and my own personal view, and I'll share that with you. But before that, I just want to start, and there's a reason I'm saying this. My dad came to Pakistan. He was lower middle class, started his life, and I think he went to middle class. And we grew up as middle class, and depending on how you define it, I think we have moved up a bit, and a lot of us have, to maybe the upper middle class or touching the upper middle class. And this whole middle class is a great phenomenon that we all live through, and that's the way we look at life. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. But before that, I just want to talk about my three pillars. How my dad and how I moved from that lower middle class to maybe what could be an upper middle class. My three pillars is my superpower. Because nothing can happen without his blessings. We just put in an effort, we just put in our time, and the results come through him. My second pillar is my IBA. My alma mater, I am so attached to it, may not be spending enough time there as an alumni, but I am a lot because of what this institute taught me. And my last pillar are my parents, my mother and my father. If it wasn't for their blessings, I don't think I could have gotten to anywhere. Let me put it in another way. Anyone who succeeds, I don't think they can without these three things. The right foundation for education, Allah's blessings, and I don't know of anyone who succeeded without their parents' blessings. So if your parents are there, please continue to get their blessings. And the good thing is, even when they're not there, if you've taken care of them, you'll continue to get their blessing and prayers for you. So honestly, I'm nowhere close to my own abilities. It's these three things that's allowed me to become what it has. So coming back to lower middle class, I just want to highlight a few things which I think we all know, right? So I'm not talking marketing today, but I want to set a scene of what marketers really need to do. Very happy to have a discussion on marketing also at some stage, whenever you would want. Money, which is an instrument of trading value, that's all what it is, has evolved into an animal, has actually evolved into an animal. Today, we are defines who we are. So money is defining who we are. And by the way, I belong to that generation where I've seen this happen. I belong to a generation where in my earlier childhood, money was not a criteria of who you were, where many other aspects were, but that's changed. And it's not changed in Pakistan, it's changed globally. It is defining our relationships today. If I take the money element out of a lot of relationships, I think a lot of relationships hit the road, even as close as husbands and wives and spouses. The second biggest reason for divorces in the world is money. Do you know the first? Infidelity. Infidelity, money, and that's it. And the third reason is far away. So it is really messing us up. It's just an instrument to trade values. It's a source of happiness. We think happiness is money. When there's a bigger bank account, we get a better income, we're happy, right? And that's what it's evolved into. It's a source of strength. I have money and my future is secured. I can buy some stuff and I can look a little stronger. That's what money has done to us. And by the way, it's not done it for forever. It's just done it very recently. And the sad part is that, and I'm not saying don't make money, please go make money, a lot of it, but the desire for it is infinite. So no matter how much you have, you need more and more of it, right? But this is what I really wanted to bring to everybody's attention. Such was never the case in human history. Never. It's a very, very recent phenomena. And until very recently, the Industrial Revolution, we'll talk about it, money has become what it's become today. And that's going to change. So let me just tell you, there was almost no income-wealth disparity in the world. And there were the rulers and there was people who were being ruled. There was no middle class. So from our prophet days, from Jesus, from Moses, to the Mughal Empire, there was absolutely no middle class. The concept of middle class did not exist. It's a very, very recent phenomena. And they were just rulers, बादशाह होते थे और फिर दूसरे होते थे उनको रूल किया जा रहा होता था. And let me show you some income per capita numbers. I've taken it from 1200, I can take it back to another 1,000 years. $610 per person, income per capita. 100 years later, $615 per person. 100 years later, $565 per person. Another 100 years, $595 per person. $615 per person. 1700 is $615. Absolutely, there was no significant rise in global income per capita. Within this, there was no middle class. Everybody lived a simple life. And that's what we all grew up with. Our ancestors, our DNA, our genes all has it. I got a video just to highlight what life was. So I just have very few charts, but a few videos to tell the story. Take a look at this. This is what happened. This is how life was. I'm just trying to picturize what it was just simple, right? आप घर में हैं, औरतें जो हैं कपड़े धो रही हैं, that's it. जो अमीर होते थे उनके पास दो चार जोड़े एक्स्ट्रा होते थे, but that was it. The concept of middle class just did not exist. What is middle class, by the way? There are multiple definitions of middle class. Let me explain to you. And remember, rulers and ruled, right? So rulers से वो rule कुछ लोगों पे rule कर रहे होते थे. Middle class की जो technical definition है ना, from Thorndike Barnhart, it's skilled part of the population who are self-reliant and not dependent on others to support them. So earning was equal to productivity. Now, why did this evolve? And I'll walk you through the Industrial Revolution era. But in the past, it didn't really matter. आप ज़्यादा काम कर रहे हैं, कम कर रहे हैं, आपको 3 वक्त का खाना मिल रहा था, आपको अनाज मिल रहा था, आपके सर पे छत थी, कपड़े मिल जाते थे. रूलर जो थे वो बादशाहत कर रहे थे, वो लड़ते थे ज़मीन के लिए, and that was about it. So middle class did not exist. We are a product of middle class, and I think that's one of our dilemmas as well. When did middle class start? As late as the 18th century. Usse pehle, there was no concept of middle class at all. And it really emerged after World War I and World War II, and more so after World War II. Prior to World War I, World War II, आपने सुना है अम्मी लोग हमारे वालिद साहब पिछली जनरेशन क्या कहती थी? Life simple थी, आसानी थी. It was the world. That is exactly how the world was. We were living a much simple life. But anyhow, this brings a lot of advantages, but trust me, brings a lot of stress as well. So what happened? Something happened in the 18th century. Coal was discovered in Britain, and the first industrial revolution happened. So the concept of energy started, the concept of energy. And second industrial revolution, US, Europe, Japan, ended somewhere in the 1900s. And this is when you'll start seeing the curve of income changing. 1700, 651, if you remember. 667. It started going up, 867. And then you will see parts of industrial revolution happening now. This is exactly how life was. I don't have volume in this, guys. Can we get volume? So development started, right? So factories, planes, radios, all this started, right? Which was a big thing, very, very big thing. Income went up in 1900 to $1,262 per capita. And then it went up to 2,100. This is after World War II, which is not a lot of money. This is when middle class really started emerging. This is exactly the time when we see what we see today and how things are going to shape up in the future. I'll walk you through that. And when we look at the world today, well, not today, at that time, it stood on the edge of transformation. Can we get volume for this, please? So this is the time when we are starting to transform now. This World War II has happened, coal is discovered, energy is discovered, production starts, assembly line starts, and now we're getting up to becoming richer and richer and richer. And what's happening is a middle class is being formed, which is growing. And this is a middle class that can actually stand up and say, I've earned what I've worked for. Unlike the past where people who were working didn't matter how much effort they put in. They were just getting the basic requirements. So what happened to income then? 1820 onwards, I took you through some of these numbers. So we were at 2011. What happens between then and 2020, right? 2025, $4,000, doubled. 1990, $6,000. This is what started happening around that time. So all that happened in the Industrial Revolution was a transformation point triggering where we are today. And we are so happy with what we've done. Trust me, from what is happening now is a trigger point that's going to happen, that's going to transform the world completely differently. Any idea of what our income now is, income per capita? It went up to $10,000. Any guesses? How much? No. So we are at $13,200 income per capita now. So we've become very rich, right? From $600 per capita to $13,000 per capita, and the population size has grown. And this is where we are now as we speak. This is the era that we're in now. much has happened. We've got so many great things that we live with, mobile phones, that airplanes, and the works, right, digital. And we are so much richer, so much richer. So why is this happening? The disparity we see in living standards, we had never seen it in the history of mankind. We never saw this level of disparity. And I think that's one of the costs we end up paying for this great progress that we've had. Not because it is a cost, it's a choice some people made. And I think that's what's going to change. And that's what's going to bring, in my view, a new world economic order, which is going to be very different to where we are today, because this is going to collapse. This world will come to a crash. By the way, the assumption on my 2070 is that Qiyamah nahi aayegi us waqt tak. Agar Qiyamah aa gayi, to my deck falls apart, right? So, because that will be end of the world. But look at this. This is really increasing radically. Nepal government thrown out just a few weeks ago. Why? We're rich, right? We're richer. Let me go to the next one. Downtown Toronto, one of the richest places in the world. And this is becoming more and more common in Canada. This is becoming more and more common in US. The middle class in the US is struggling. He is in pain. We've become so rich. Everybody's become rich, but this middle class phenomena is interesting. Let me walk you through this. This is Bangladesh, thrown out of the Sheikh Hasina's government was thrown out. Again, it's the gap between the have-nots, the right way of doing things, the wrong way of doing things. It's the cost of new economic order that we're in. So, while a huge amount of wealth created in the world, the GDP for the world was $250 billion. First industrial revolution, it went up to $700 billion. Then it went to $2 trillion. And 14 trillion, and we are sitting today at about 120 trillion global economy. US is about 34, 35 trillion. If you look at the middle class, there was zero, went up to 2%, 4%, 10, and today it's 17% of the world is middle class. These are people who can rightfully say, I'm earning as per my ability, right? Take out the owners of the businesses, the rest are being provided whatever needs to be provided, and I think the current economic order does not provide adequate to the ones who are not in the middle class. They do not. And if this continues, they're going to throw out the economic order in any case. And by the way, the new economic order is already being questioned. If we look at US, this whole tariff scenarios that we have with their debt of $36 trillion, I think it's going to fall apart. The new economic order which came after World War II is under significant question for two reasons. One is the money is going in the hands of very few, and the ones who don't have the money are getting more and more underprivileged and almost to the point of subsistence. So what is 2070 expected to be? economy is going to grow like crazy. Wealth will get created. And imagine in this current form of economic order with that level of wealth, the people who have the money won't be able to survive because somebody will come and kill them. Exactly what will happen. And if you look at the middle class, this is interesting. It's going to come down to 10%. And a lot of work that people are doing today, it's all going to be done by machines. So today we are accountants, salesmen, marketeers, and engineers. Trust me, a lot of roles will no longer need human beings. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, the biggest reason of productivity drop is human beings. And the biggest reason accuracy is not as high is because of human beings. And I think that's changing and that's evolving starting from typewriters to calculators to now machinery and so many jobs that are there. But it's going to be 10%. Now, how does a 10% middle class, few owners, going to take care of maybe about 20 billion people? I think that's where the new world economic order has no other option but to come in. And these 10% middle class are not going to be middle class like us. These are the ones who will be much, much, much richer. These are the ones who will be defining what the future is going to be. So they won't necessarily be the Bill Gates and the Jeff Bezos of the world. There'll be a lot of them, and a lot of them are going to be not us. It's going to be a lot of the new generation that's coming up, our children and forward. But 10% middle class, income is going to grow by 22 times, 22x. And middle class is going to come down by 41%. That's 17% of the world being middle class comes down to 10. It's a scary situation because one, middle class is going down, but remember, the remaining 90%, are they going to be the same shape and form as today's underprivileged are? And I think the new world economic order will ensure that they're not. And those people will get far beyond subsistence level of living. And that's what the role of the middle class and the owners are going to be. Just the way the rulers were. The ones who were ruled, they were taken care of from a subsistence level. The current economic world order is eroding. And I wouldn't be wrong in saying it's eroded to a very, very large extent. And we see it in Pakistan, we see it in India, we see it in US, we see it in Canada. The disparity between the rich and poor is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. It will have to change. And we're already seeing those trigger points of changes with US panicking, because US would collapse. If they do not change the world order, it will collapse with the level of current debt and the level of trade deficits they have. There is no way they can sustain this going forward. They are 27% of global GDP. We are fast moving to oligarchy. And I'm sure all of you know what oligarchy is, but oligarchy simply says the money goes in the hands of very, very few people. US, which was 19% of global GDP 25 years ago, is 26% now, 27% now. They make trillions and trillions of dollars. But you go to the US, the middle class is struggling, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, homeless people. And why? It's because that trillions of dollars have gone in the hands of 200 people, or 300 people. And I think that's what's creating an oligarchy, and that's never, ever going to sustain. So the new economic order is a must. Is a must because now with human beings' role becoming lesser and machines' role becoming more, you will need a new economic order to take care of the larger population. What is 2070 GDP per capita expected to be? So you've seen some of these numbers. I'll take you through to, this has been we are at 13,000 now. So I've taken the years of, I think, 2040, 50, 60, 70. These are projections coming out of multiple economic forums and World Bank. $28,000 per capita in the next 10 years. So it's going to become 2 times, more than 2 times, so where we are now. $35,000 and $100,000. So it's going to become, there's going to be a lot of wealth, there's going to be a lot of money that's going to be created. There'll be a smaller middle class, and a lot of people are going to be unemployed, and machines are going to take over. But the new economic order will make sure that everybody in the world is living better than what they're living today. And that's what the rulers did before Industrial Revolution, at our prophets' time and previous prophets' times and in the Mughal Empire. The rulers ruled and the masses were okay. They were getting the subsistence needed. What will future look like? I'll just share a chart. Video. Middle class skills have reflected the development eras that we've been through all this while. I shared this with you, and I think the skills were really the following. Explorers in the first industrial revolution, to makers in supply chain. That was your second industrial revolution. Those are the people who owned power. Those are the people who were richer within the middle class context. 85, it all became sellers. So you had enough supply chain, and then you needed sellers to be able to sell better. And now it's really in the hands of supply chain and marketeers. That's where the world is. Where is it going to be in the future? And I think that's going to be key and critical. Middle class skills required for future will be totally, totally different. And therefore, it's extremely important to make sure, I think we are probably going to be the dinosaur generation, but our children need to be, we need to bring our children into that middle class that I just highlighted. So I did a small matrix, I think this was done in World Bank, of what are the skills required by employers between now and the next 10 years, and what are the skills which are available. So this is what's going to be really needed. It's not going to be marketing, it's not going to be engineering, it's not going to be creativity, it's not going to be branding. Sorry, creativity will be there. It's leadership. So the 10% of that middle class is not going to be the engineers and the accountants. They won't, because machines are going to do that job. You don't need human beings to do accounting. Actually, today, human beings are investing their time to pull data up and concisely just package that data correctly. That's all really what they do, and then there's some people who do analyze that data. That won't be required. It will be done by machines. So leadership, AI and big data, speed. So you heard this concept of lazy people, less lazy, more lazy, some hardworking, some less. So it's about speed. If you are unable to grab things, pick it up and complete it in a very short span of time, you're out of the game. Talent management. How do you manage talent within not just the organization, but within the society you're in? Critical thinking, analytical thinking, technology, care. I think one of the problems with capitalism is it ignores cares. It talks about it, but it gives absolutely zero weightage to care. Creativity, some of us will have a role. Flexibility and agility, environment. I think this is what your future middle class is going to be. And you know and I know that today a sizable part within an organization, the ones who make it as CEOs, ones who make it at senior levels and managing directors or directors have these capability. Majority of the middle class is very skill-based. That skill is not going to be needed. So if we think our skills is what will take our next generation forward, it will not, for sure. So it will move to integrators, from marketeers, supply chain to integrators, people who can actually integrate different parts of the society, different parts of the levers of skills, manage the underprivileged, and ensure. So the underprivileged will get 3 times food, they will have clothes to wear, they won't have to be homeless, they'll have a home, and I think that's the new economic order. That middle class will be paying, and not necessarily getting work done out of them, but will be paying to build societies and to the underprivileged. The world has been through many economic models. We started with socialism. It went to socialism, capitalism, a combination of the two. We saw this when we were growing up. We saw capitalism and socialism. I still remember the era of Russian and a whole communist and socialist economic blocs. And then once Russia broke, I think socialism went away. And we became total capitalism. And that's today's economic order. And today's economic order says, I don't care. I am good. I earn more. And if I want to, I'll take care of somebody else. But frankly, I'm as good as who I am. And I think that's what the economic order does. And that's something that's brought significant stresses to people. And when we have such significant growth of wealth, there is significant cost of living that's going to go up. I'll share that with you. What's next? And I think that's the one that I'm going to leave it open for anyone to think through what it could be. But capitalism is going to fall. Is it the Islamic economic model? Is it a hybrid of capitalism and care? I don't know. There are multiple philosophies around it, but what I wanted to establish here is that the current economic order is collapsing. It is collapsing, and it's collapsing at a faster pace than we think. I can tell you, in this city, another 10 years, you will find people, and even there is today, that why does he have a car? Why does he eat in these good restaurants? Those questions are being asked already because the gap is significant. And it's increasing, and really increasing. So times ahead are going to be amazing, yet challenging. Most of us in this room, I think, are dinosaur generation. When I look at these faces, we're all dinosaur generation, trust me, guys. Most of us are, and I think we are not the ones who will architect the future. I think we are the ones who need to understand where the future is going and support them from a marketing, communication, branding point of view. Respect the next generation. Trust me, when I sit with my children, I think, they're not stable, socially, they're far better than us. Then they're far more equipped to take over the next 30-year challenge than we are. Ensure your next generation is a part of the middle class. And it's not going to be easy, it's going to be important. And that's also questioning the education system also. The education academic system is also eroding. A lot of what is being taught in places is available. You don't need the schools and universities. So curriculums will change. And if we think today's cost of living is high, it's going to be kindergarten. Trust me. This cost of living, you will look back 20 years later and say, "Yaro, kitne achhe din the ki hum 2,000 rupees mein ek pizza kha liya karte the." I think we're moving in that area. The cost of living is going to go prohibitively high. So sum up, the world has gone through many, many changes. We've been through a lot of change now. But if we think the change is massive now, it's nothing compared to what's going to come our way. But more importantly, with all the changes, we've all benefited as a society. And a middle class got formed. That middle class is going to erode. New economic order should come in play. And I think we need to play that role in trying to architect that in some way or the other and support the next generation in making that happen. My animation of thank you came first. Thank you very much.